Technology worked. Got that hot.
We almost did like a THX thing there. Let's do it again. Everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steven. This is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast.
Oh.
Apparently, all I have to do to get it right is to pretend I'm reading
I know. You still got it wrong, though.
Did I? What did I leave off?
You said something in the wrong order.
Oh, whatever.
I'm the only person who notices.
This first ad was sent by unnamed Michael Krogh. This is a Fender Excelsior amp for $150. Vintage barn find, rusty gold. Vinyl is cracked and it's missing the tubes in bag.
Those aren't important.
It's located in East Lyme, Connecticut. That already seems like bad news. The home, just east of the place that Lyme disease comes from, apparently.
Named for,
Named for, or do you think it's
namesake.
named for Lyme disease, not Lyme disease named after it?
My heart wants this to be salvageable. Oh man, this looks rough.
This has seen a lot of weather.
Was this barn inside out? Because this looks like it was on the outside of the barn. Like what is going on here? Was the barn underwater? Was this an underwater barn? Be honest with me.
Just because it's in a barn doesn't mean it's like protected from the weather.
It was in a barn, but it was also inside of the feeding trough for the pigs. Like
it was in a barn. I don't think that you keep the pigs inside the barn.
It depends on how cold it is, man. I don't know.
It was.
I never had a barn. I never had pigs.
I didn't think about cold weather. It was in a barn, and the barn burned down, and all that was left was this amp.
Gee, this isn't fire damage, dude. Unless you sprayed a bunch of water in there to put out the fire.
Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of water damage.
It was on a barn, and horses just pissed on this thing all day. This was like in the piss corner, and the horses just walked up to it and just sprayed all over it every chance they got.
Oh, that's so gross.
Yeah, well, look at it. It looks gross, and I feel so sad for it because it's a nice, charming pastel blue Tolex Excelsior, and I've always wanted an Excelsior. They're such cool amps. They're like a low wattage tube amp with a 15-inch speaker. They've got an input for an accordion.
Yeah,
they're cool amplifiers that Fender came out with, I want to say 12, 13 years ago? Somewhere around there. Maybe 15 at this point.
And this is that, did you already say this? This is that rare, this finish is not, because the most common finish is the brown.
This is what the Surfer Jets were using before they got their Pro reverbs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They were using a matched pair of Excelsiors with I think they were this finish. I think they were the blue. It might have been the seafoam.
It would make sense if they were one of those colors.
Right.
Man, some of these, I found one on Reverb for $300 in poor condition.
Jeez.
This one looks like it's been dropped a few times and or attacked by a raccoon.
If this was if the Tolex was in better condition, if it didn't look like it had suffered serious fluid damage, I don't want to say water damage because of the whole horse situation. Yeah. I might look at this and go, offer $75 and convert it into a speaker cap. Just gut it and be done. Just turn it into a 1x15 and call it what it is.
Yeah, so there was one, I'm looking on Reverb at different listings. There's one that's $149.99 with $50 shipping. Like that, the shipping kind of makes this tricky, but
yeah,
it just says it's brown. It's one of the brown ones. It's non-working. These pictures, it just looks pretty dusty.
Why are people being so mean to Excelsiors?
Because they were cheap.
They weren't that cheap.
They were pretty cheap.
They were affordable. Weren't they like $399 new?
No, I don't think so. Were they?
That's what my gut is telling me. I could be totally wrong. I could be way off on that.
Fender. I was thinking they were like 300 new.
Everyone always thinks that the Vaporizer is the one I'd want from that line, but no, it's the Excelsior. I want that Excelsior. And I've still never owned one. The Vaporizers are cool, but I don't know. The Excelsior is my speed. But man, 150 for this. It says the condition is used. Fair. No, it is not. This is.
If it doesn't have the tubes in it, how can you even confirm it works?
You can't. You can't confirm it works. And look at it, like the transformer. I mean, maybe that'll make it magic. The transformer is so rusty.
No.
There, like, all sorts of bad things happen to this amplifier before the tubes got removed, and then the tubes got removed at some point, and who knows if it I'm sure someone can get this working again, but is it worth the effort, you know?
Not for me. It wouldn't be.
It would be worth
it.
It might be worth the effort if you could get this handed to you for free. Like, hey, found this in my barn. Bad things happen to it.
Right.
Do you want it?
Right.
I would take this for free if it didn't smell. Like if I could hold it by the handle from this far away and I didn't smell it, I'd be like, okay, I'll take this.
That's a dicey proposition there. Sir.
And then I might consider taking it to Top Gear and having them give it a look over to see if it's salvageable.
Yeah, that's.
I might even pull it apart myself. If it doesn't smell, if it smells like dog piss, I'm not doing anything with it. I might try to take it apart myself, give it a visual inspection and a wipe down, and then try to put the tubes in there just to see what happens.
I mean, based on the price or the pictures here, it looks like that cabinet is MDF anyway. So
right.
It's like
it's
not going to be a weather surviving.
Any liquid that gets on this is going to soak into it immediately.
Yeah. I'm seeing these at Long and McQuaid for $300. I think was like the original price. I'm not. That's Canadian 300. So I'm thinking these were like maybe.
You think they were like 250 or something?
249.
That sounds so low now. That's unbelievable. I wish I could go back in time and buy a bunch of these. You hate to see it.
Yeah.
People with barns. Why are you so irresponsible with this amp in particular? I don't want to blame all barn owners.
All barns everywhere.
I'm just going to say everyone who owns a barn, I don't trust them. I don't think they're reputable. I don't think you should let them use your musical equipment because this is what's going to happen. They're going to let a bunch of farm animals pee all over your amplifier.
Yeah, this is in the May 22nd, 2012 issue of Premier Guitar, publication of Premier Guitar. It was listed as a street price of $299.
$299. So we were both wrong.
Yeah.
I said $399. You said $250.
Yeah.
Cut the difference. You got closer.
The Greta was $199.
I could never wrap my head around the Greta. I didn't get it.
It's like a
tabletop amp.
It's a lunchbox head that has a built-in speaker.
Yeah.
It always looked too much like the Wiggy to me for me to take it seriously.
The Excelsior and the Vaporizer were the stars of that line as far as I'm concerned.
Were there only 3?
I don't remember there being another one.
The Vaporizer was the 2x10?
It was the 2x10 with a ridiculous reverb. Like it went full wet.
Is that the one where it has the foot switch?
Yeah, and it goes to full blast.
That just bypasses. It just goes input to preamp at with everything dimed.
Output. It's like your foot switch turns the reverb on and off, and it turns the volume control off, so it just goes full blast.
It turns the Vaporizer on.
Right. That was a cool series of amps. I hope Fender gets back to doing some weird, funky stuff like that.
Yeah, Fender, do some weird, funky stuff. Give us some funky butt loving. You don't know what that's from?
No, I caught the reference, but I wonder if everyone else will.
I hope so.
It feels kind of like coming out of like the post-COVID boom. Fender has pulled back to their more core line of things, like all the paranormal stuff. all got pulled back a bit. All these kind of weird esoteric lines of amps got pulled back a little bit. It's just kind of the meat and potatoes right now. Maybe we'll see a change. Maybe at NAMM. I don't know. Fender's going to be there. We'll see if they drop any hot new stuff.
Fender's going to be there. I think it's incumbent on us to like just kind of give them the nudge. Like, hey, all these Strats and Telecasters are cool and all, but like, when are you going to do something fun?
No, they're all, I know what you mean. They're all fun, but like, that was a great time when they were doing all the parallel universe
stuff. Have you
stuff.
guys ever thought about making a product that's not so predictable?
Have you ever thought about innovating the Stratocaster?
I will say, you've got the new Fender Player,
the Player 2
Telly.
Yeah.
The chambering on that thing is wild.
I love that guitar.
It like, how is it on? Have you had it on strap?
I haven't yet.
I really want it. Like, it feels like it.
Telecasters, neck heavy?
Telecasters are like notoriously stable instruments, in my opinion. Like, they're just very well balanced.
Right.
But that one is so light, it makes me wonder if it's going to be a little diet.
It doesn't have like some sort of crazy baseball neck on it. Like, it's,
no, I know
it's a modern C Mexican Fender neck.
And like I said, the body shape itself and where the strap connects is pretty pretty well balanced.
It's funny because like the Fender had already hired me to do the Player 2 Jag, which is a fun guitar. It's hanging up over there, and then they hit me up to make that short for them that they put on their accounts. They put it on their Instagram and their TikToks and stuff like that. And the whole pitch was like, oh, we want you to do like this short video showing the steps of what you do when you get a new guitar, and here's some suggestions of things. And they had this whole list of suggestions, and I took that list to be like, I'm going to try to fit them all in one video. And I didn't fit it all. There's a couple things that didn't make it, but I fit an amazing amount of content into 90 seconds.
Sounds like I need to actually watch this.
You should. It's only 90 seconds long, Steve.
Dude, I'm a very busy person.
I understand. But because like the whole concept was like, what do you do when you get a new guitar? I was like, so are you going to send me a new guitar to do this? And they're like, yeah. Which Player 2 do you want to pick? I was like, nice. Oh geez, I already picked a Player 2. Now I got to pick another. And I was looking through, I'm like, I should have a proper Fender Telecaster. I knew that I was getting that Harley Benton in. I was like, I should have a Fender Telecaster in my quiver. And so that's what I ended up going with.
Do you have anything else to say about this?
I don't have anything. I thought we were done with this.
Yeah. How long have you had a Hamer Strat?
Okay. You want to go grab that real quick?
Do we need to say that for what's new?
No, go grab it right now. That's actually been up there for like 3 months.
I just not noticed.
You just haven't noticed it. So this is a guitar that I helped my brother-in-law buy because he was interested in learning to play probably 12 years ago. And it's just been kind of living over at his place. And it eventually him and my mother-in-law were like, no one's using this. Ryan, take this. And I was like, if I take this, I'm eventually probably going to sell it or give it away to someone. And they're like, that's totally fine. So yeah, I have this Slammer by Hamer situation here. It's not technical. It says Hamer on the headstock. It doesn't say Slammer anywhere, but it's made in Korea. It's a good guitar. I keep meaning to polish it up and get a fresh set of strings on there, and then maybe make a little video about it, and then probably sell it or give it away or something.
Oh yeah, it sounds real good.
It's a Strat.
Ryan, this neck feels great. You should definitely give this guitar to a kid.
I probably should. That was my intention originally.
And film it so we can exploit
children for clicks. Yes. Kindness content. So yeah, Steve finally noticed this odd guitar hanging on my wall over there. I'm going to be making a big push in the new year. Oh, by the way, which it is. Welcome to 2025. I'm going to be making a big push in the new year to really thin their herd around here. I've got too much stuff. I've got too many sacred cows. I have too many like project guitars hanging around. It's more than I'm able to play, and it's time to move things that aren't getting used. You know, it's wasteful for me to hold on to things that I'm not using.
If you feel like you spend too much time like buying gear and pedals and whatever, and maybe you have a lot of things and you don't feel like you've really learned how to use them.
Yeah, Steve.
You should click the link down in the description below to go check out TrueFire. I'm pretty sure
I can hear your sponsorship voice starting, and I can feel it coming.
I'm pretty sure actually that there's a handful of TrueFire videos that are like how to use a pedal board.
Oh, possibly. I haven't discovered that corner of TrueFire
so
yet, but I'm sure it's there.
I think that's something maybe you want to look for. But yeah, click the link below. Go check out TrueFire. The best deal over there is their year-long subscription, but of course, they do a 2-year or 2-week, 2-year. Yeah,
sign up for the decade deal.
you can try the 2-year free trial. No, I think it's a 2-week free trial. I would recommend that.
Yeah, totally.
Check it out. Don't here's what I don't want. I don't want you to commit to a full year because you heard me talk about it, because I said that I use it and I think it's good. And then you don't feel like you get your money's worth out of it. And then I don't want you to blame me. Okay. So do the 2-week free trial. And then I think you're going to convince yourself that you should do it if you do the 2-week free trial. And then you can thank me.
It's like, It's like going to the ice cream parlor. Like, hey, can I take a taste of that? What about that? You're starting to feel guilty on the third taste, but you're going to commit to a scoop or two. So you don't feel too bad about it. You just want to make sure that there's something, there might be something better than the brownie fudge. There's not. You're going to get the brownie fudge. Go do the taste test of TrueFire is what I'm saying.
The taste test of TrueFire.
Right.
Ryan, after you pay for
Steve.
Lessons, I think the question that you have to ask yourself is, the big argument used to be, do you spend more money on a guitar amp? But
we're going into the topic
I feel
now.
like a lot of people would spend more on making a pedal board than guitars or amps now.
Steve is reading the thread post that I made. It used to be that big argument, like, oh, do you spend more on your guitar or your amp? Oh, well, the amp is probably the thing you should spend the most money on, blah, blah, end of your chain, blah, 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 the speaker, blah, blah. Let's all get serious.
Yeah.
It's way easier to spend more money on a pedal board.
Let's take guitar seriously.
Deadly seriously now.
So seriously.
I actually feel like people don't take guitar seriously enough. So right now we're going to take guitar deadly serious.
Or are we
talking about pedal boards?
Are we going to take guitar seriously, or are we going to take amp seriously, or pedal board seriously?
Well, here's what I want to know, Steve.
Yeah.
You've got 3. I was trying to do this with my original threads post, and I couldn't figure out how to word it. So maybe you can help me fix this.
Yeah.
Fix this.
Fix it 3 weeks after you post it.
I know. So you've got 3 different piles of money. You've got
yeah.
You got $2,000.
Okay.
You got $1,000, and you've got $500.
All right.
Which one of those piles is going to guitar, amp, or pedal board?
Oh my gosh.
I feel like I would go $500 guitar, $1,000 amp, $2,000 pedal board without even flinching.
I mean, I think that's like the problem is I don't know how much anything costs anymore because I don't like.
Well, it's like
I don't know how much an amp costs. I don't actually know how much a guitar costs because I only buy pedals.
I know I could get myself a decent clean platform amp, new or used for under $1,000.
One of those Monoprice stage rights 15-watt tube amps was on Facebook Marketplace the other day for $100.
Wow.
And I thought about buying it. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I have a freaking Rev that sounds fantastic and will do everything I need it to do.
Uh-huh.
But I was just like, but it's $100.
It's $100. You don't want to lose money on this.
Yeah, I mean, you'll still lose money on it.
Was that down here or was up where you are?
It's up where I am.
I almost wonder if things might sell cheaper up where you are.
I think
there's less population.
Cheaper, but they also move slower.
And it's probably you got to drive farther. Probably you got to go get under the boonies.
The nice thing about working in San Diego is I post to my local Facebook Marketplace and to San Diego Music Exchange Facebook group. So I kind of like, and then if people message, they're like, oh, what? And I see that they're from San Diego. They're like, oh, let me see how long it's going to take me to get to you. I was like, Well, you can wait till Tuesday. I can bring it down to San Diego.
Yeah. I see people do that who commute who are like, well, I'm either in Ventura or Chula Vista. Like pick one and no one in between.
But yeah, I think the problem is I almost wonder, could I get away with a $500 amp?
Oh, you want the $1,000 guitar.
Because $1,000 guitar gets you into that player series at least.
Sure.
I'm trying to think like.
I mean, you got the pick of the litter with all the Squires at $500. There's some good Squires, and I'm not telling you that you can't upgrade pickups and hardware later on if you want. This is just like a general starter guide. Do you want a $500 guitar, $1,000 amp, and $2,000 pedal board, or some other combination?
I mean, legit. Possible cheat codes here could be if I would learn how to use the damn thing, HX Stomp for $500.
Do you count that as your amp or your pedal board?
I was going to count it as my pedal board.
It's kind of both.
But then if you're going to spend $500 on that and you're going to use the amp models in there, then you don't need a $1,000 amp. You just need a $1,000 PA system. Like what's a good
set of headphones?
What's a powered speaker run these days? I have no idea. But no, I understand your principle. I understand the principle.
It was hard. I kept trying to type it out, and it never felt right.
Yeah.
It didn't flow right. You know,
it's a visual concept. It's hard to
right. And I was trying to like figure out like an ABC sort of thing, and I didn't have the brain power.
And hitting 2,000 pedals, getting over $1,000 on a pedal board.
It's super easy.
Is really easy. And I mean, unless you're just buying like all the Moore, whatever kind of things.
But even then, you got to buy the pedal board and the power supply and all the patch cables and the Velcro. That stuff adds up quick.
But I'm saying like a 10 pedal,
sure,
like a 10 pedal rig, even with all that stuff, if you're just going off Amazon and doing Moore and Donner and whatever, you could do that for under $1,000, 10 pedal board.
Yeah.
With like kind of the brands that I like to support and that I think are doing more unique things. Mm-hmm. You're over 10 pedals, you're over $1,000 real fast.
Oh, so like you could be over 2,000 real fast with 10 pedals. If you're buying $250 pedals. 10
Strymon pedals is a $3,500 pedal board.
Like I like a lot of affordable pedals.
Yeah.
But I also do like to have some sort of weird, freaky thing on there. You know, like there's A-Lab pedals that are $100 on a good day. And, you know, I love that delay. But then I'm going to want to have a Surfy Bear. I'm going to want to have a True Spring. I'm going to want to have a drippy reverb that costs me somewhere between, you know, $250 and $350 or something like that.
Right.
I'm going to want to have a cheap, nasty fuzz, but then I'm going to want to have an expensive fuzz that has an extra switch, you know? There's all sorts of dangerous little ways that you could get yourself into $2,000 pedal board territory without trying too hard.
Real fast.
Real fast. We're like, if you asked me what $1,000 guitar I was going to buy, I'd have to sit there and think about it for a while.
Sure.
I'd have to really think about it, and I'd have to justify, well, you know, I guess it would be better than the Squier version. I could probably find like a Hallmark on the used market or something like that. It was kind of in that territory and just kind of fudge the numbers. Be like, well, it's $1,200. You know,
that's more than $1,000, Ryan.
I know. And there's also, you know, there's a lot of options out there.
I think the 500, 1,000, 2,000 thing is kind of like a classic. Like that's a 2020 question. We're now in 2025, so I think it now should be $750, $1,400, and $2,500.
Yeah, you're probably right.
No, I mean, but yeah, it's the
but the same concept is an ABC bronze, silver, gold.
Sure.
What are you combining sort of concept there with the clear purpose of the mind experience, the thought experience to illustrate the fact that I think most of us, most modern guitarists might actually choose the pedal board over the guitar or the amp, which is just going to sound like sacrilege to so many old timers. They're just like, why aren't you getting a full Marshall stack? Why aren't you getting a Les Paul? Get the Les Paul. You know, like,
I mean, it all comes down to what you're doing with that, right?
I'm stacking delays into reverbs.
One of a video that I watched, I'm hoping I get everyone involved in this.
Okay.
Right. But it was a video I watched a few months ago that I think was filmed at Gear Street, maybe Gear Street 23.
Wow.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure which Gear Street it was at.
Uh-huh.
But
there was Gear, there was a street.
Yeah. It might have been the one this year. But it was Andrew Baina and Colin Scott talking about basically the generational difference between amp choice. And I think it was Colin. Basically, it was either this is where I'm getting confused. It was either Colin or Andy Ferris, but I think it was Colin. Science of Loud now on YouTube. Basically saying we're Colin saying like, no, I want the amp, like I want to touch the knobs, and like this is, and moving that all to digital doesn't make sense to me. And Andrew's sitting there going like, well, I did digital first because that was like I got a guitar and then I got like a Line 6 or whatever, and Helix Native or whatever the equivalent to that was at the time when he started playing, and so he's always been doing digital, and so that's an interface that makes sense to him. And it's like with a amp, you can buy and this has always been the argument, right? Is like, well, if you want a Fender Princeton, it's gonna cost God, what's a Princeton now?
I think they're like $1,300. I might be off on that.
And you want this, you want that. Every single one of these amps is gonna be $800, $1,000, $1,500, every single amp, right? Or you can just buy like the $100 plugin,
right?
For $1,500, you could have an entire studio's worth of amps, and if you're comfortable in that space, like you're good to go. Which goes back to that idea of like, if you're comfortable trusting a laptop or trusting like some other sort of digital device, then yeah, you could drop $500 on like a powered FRFR situation, and now you're good to go.
Yeah.
Hopefully your laptop holds up or whatever.
I mean,
right?
But yeah, you could be like, well, I spent $500 on a powered speaker, and that is my amp, and then my pedal board is a Helix or a Neural DSP or something like that, and then your guitar is whatever else, like
yeah.
And it is so interesting, like cheap guitars have gotten so good that it even makes this an option.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amps are in this weird middle place now where some people need them, some people don't want them, some people absolutely have to have them, but they are not like a locked in necessity. You don't have to have a traditional amp anymore.
Yeah.
But you do need to have a guitar, and you don't need a pedal board. But if you don't have an amp, you probably have a pedal board.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
You have something in that direction. But guitars have gotten so good, especially affordable guitars, that you can really go cheap on the guitar and not have it be a detriment to you, where you rewind the clock even 20 years. If you were spending the equivalent to less than $500, you would be suffering in the guitar space.
Yeah. For sure.
Like the Squiers these days are excellent. There's all these Amazon brands that are excellent. Harley Bentons are totally great. Like there's so many affordable guitars out there. And it's kind of this weird flip of like what's expensive and what's cheap and what's good and what's bad. Like it's an interesting place to be. What are you looking up, Steve?
I'm looking up different amps and I'm thinking like, what could I fill this? Like, so earlier we were playing again, your new Telecaster through the Supro Montauk. It's a $1,000 amp.
Yeah.
I feel like that could check like so many boxes for so many people, that amp. Like,
that's a great, like tube tone lovers, like lightly saturated tube tone lovers sort of amp. Like,
and I think that's like, and again, I was playing on I mentioned it earlier, the Fender Player Telecaster, which I know is also like in the $1,000 range, but you made this point is like, classic vibe Telly through Supro Montauk, and then like a $2,000 for pedals. Like, yeah, That's kind of seems obvious when you start spelling it out.
The Supro Delta King amp, which is a great amp, by the way.
Yeah.
There's one at Pro Audio Store for $449. One at Sweetwater for $599. Another at Sweetwater for $16. They're kind of like in that range, depending on where you're buying it and what finish it comes in. Here's one at Guitar Center used for $399. Those are killer tube amps, and they fit. Yeah. They fit in that 750 and below kind of range.
But then you gotta get. Then you're stuck with that vintage aesthetic, and who wants that?
They're also like. That is an amp that's not a pure clean platform.
Yeah,
you are accepting some of the saturation and the grit that comes with a lower wattage tube amp. But man, they sound great. They sound great for that price point. Like if you told me put together a rig that's built around we'll call it a sub 750 tube amp, and you've got a $1,500 guitar and a $2,500 pedal board.
Yeah.
That would be a great place to start, unless you need huge clean headroom for whatever you're doing with your pedal board and the sound that you're trying to get. Like if you're trying to be a metal guitarist, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But man, that amp is great. And below that, then you're getting into the mono price amp, which can be had for under. You could get two of those
apparently for $100 if you're in the right Facebook Marketplace.
When they pop up new on Amazon, it seems like a couple times a year they're available again.
Right,
they're like $230 or something like that. You could buy two of those things. You could have a stereo rig, a tube stereo rig,
and then you've got that $2,000 to go to do your wet, dry, wet. Or just wet, dry.
Then you get to spend your middle tier on your guitar, and then you get to spend your top tier on your pedal board.
Yeah.
I really can't imagine a scenario for myself where the majority of the money, the big chunk of the money, doesn't actually go to the pedal board.
Well, I think the scenario is it really comes down to like what's your goal, right? And throwing the money thing around, like in some ways, it feels a little gauche, right? Sure. But the reality is like, and I think part of it is because nowadays, especially folks our age, I think there's a lot of like $2,000 plus pedal boards floating around because we've been playing guitar for 20 years.
You develop a collection.
You pick up a $100 pedal here, $100 pedal there, and now you got $1,000 plus pedal board. But like, I'm just thinking like, if you're just trying to do something simple, like it really depends. And this is where there's always the pushback. Oh, you should get your drive from your amp so you get a good amp, and all you really need is a delay pedal and a tube screamer.
Well, if you're getting your drive from your amp, now if you're going to use delay, now you need an amp with an effects loop in it.
Yeah, that's well, and you don't need it.
Now you're moving into an amp that's probably in the more expensive territory.
Sure.
If you're incorporating delay after your drive, which is, there's nothing wrong with that.
But it is goofy, a little bit goofy to think about that because it is all built around like, what do you think is the most important part of a sound, and like how much are you wanting to chase that? Because if you wanted to stick with that for your entire like aesthetic, so you say like, okay, I'm in bands, and I'm never going to have a pedal board that costs more than $500. I'm never going to have a guitar that's worth more than $1,000 or whatever.
$500 pedal board even look like?
So that's what I'm getting at is like, if as soon as you hear, the Mood or something, or any Chase Bliss pedal, or even the DoD Rubberneck, right, which is like a $200 delay. A $500 pedal board, as soon as you throw a $200 delay on it, or $250, whatever it is, like that's a lot of cash capital to put into a single item like that.
Let's say that you were able to procure the physical pedal board itself, a power supply, and patch cables.
I'm not even thinking about power supply.
And patch cable. Like say you're using like I've got an Azure brick that I use in all my demos over here, or a K-Line brick or whatever. Yeah. Like they're $20 power supply. After you buy the pedal board, the power supply, and your patch cables, you're probably pretty close to $100. You now only have $400 left in this scenario for pedals.
Right.
If you're going budget and you're getting $100 and below pedals, you maybe have 5 or 6 pedals on your board.
Sure.
That's, from my perspective, that's a start. you know.
Well, I'm trying to,
and that's, you know, you got yourself a fuzz, you've got yourself probably an overdrive or a distortion. You've got yourself a modulation of some sort, whether you want chorus or tremolo, or a phaser or flanger. Then you've got a delay and a reverb. That's 5 pedals right there. Throw in a volume pedal.
yeah, you've got your Affordaboard back there right now. It's got 7 pedals on it.
Yeah.
That's probably easily 300. So, if, you know, like you said, like you start with your power supply and your actual board itself and your cables, plus probably that board back there, you're at $400.
Right.
You got $100 left for, you know, incidentals, whatever.
For the
else
pedals that
comes up.
aren't on the board.
Right. For, like you said, like a volume pedal.
Right.
Does your instrument and board to amp cable, does that come out of the pedal board budget, the guitar budget, or the amp budget?
You use the Radio Shack cable that comes with your cheap guitar.
Oh my God. What was the whole thing that people were like trying to dunk on you because you were like reviewing the Harley Benton cable?
Did that happen? When I did the Harley Benton video, there was the cheap cable and I held it up and I was like, throw these away. You get yourself a better cable.
Yeah.
Did someone comment on that?
I think there was a comment on YouTube that was like, I came for a review of the guitar, not of the cable.
Oh, whatever.
Something like that. Anyway,
that's me sending a note to all the new players.
No, I know.
Because people buying a Harley Benton, there's a good chance that they could be a brand new player.
Yeah.
And they don't know that that's a crappy cable yet.
Yeah. They'll find out.
They'll find out. Yeah. All those cheap Radio Shack style cables that come with cheap guitars, just if that's all you have, then use it. But be on the lookout for something at least that costs more than $10. You know,
Sure,
like it doesn't have to be the best, but come on.
What do you think? Do you feel like, you know, staying on the idea of like a cheap pedal board, do you feel like your Affordaboard that you put together? I know that you have in the past done like Sunday morning.
Yeah. I played at church with it. Yeah.
But like, do you feel like being limited to what is on the Affordaboard is like restrictive in a way that makes it less enjoyable?
I think there is a lot of fun in restriction in itself. Like that's the challenge. Like, you know,
Right.
when you beat a video game and you can play in God mode, all the fun goes out the window because like, oh, I can just do everything. There's no challenge now.
Well, that's a challenge, but do you always want to be like,
I'll say this.
Is that a challenge that you want all the time?
If I had to build an Affordaboard for a surf band, I would have a big problem with that just because I haven't found a good reverb.
Right.
But if you told me to put together an Affordaboard for a punk band, no problem.
Sure.
You tell me to put together an Affordaboard for a praise and worship band, yeah, absolutely, I can do that. There's so many different types of bands that I could absolutely put together an Affordaboard and feel totally cool with it.
Right.
But every now and then you find that specialty effect where like, you're not going to be able to find that from a $30 or a $50 pedal. Like it's just not out there. The quality's not there. But fuzzes, overdrive, distortions, delays, modulations, you can find those Affordaboard. Like sometimes you have to wade through the crap, but there's some good examples out there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Did we have anywhere else to go with this?
I'm just trying to think about other angles on it.
Sure.
Like, I'm sure there's someone who's going to say like, no, you should just get like, you need a Fender American Pro, you know, that's your $2,000 guitar, $1,000, like that's $2,000 guitar, $1,000 amp. I know
OfferUp was trying to trade me a Hot Rod DeVille for something. Who was that?
Gross.
But like that,
it's so much amp.
Oh, it was for the guild. That would have been a trade that made sense.
How much do you have the guild listed for?
$550 with the case. It came with a really nice case that
I
don't usually come
I don't know if that trade makes sense.
Yeah, it probably doesn't. But
it does from like a cash value perspective. But I feel like the DeVilles, like the whole Fender Hot Rod series, is so hard to move. Like when I see them,
they're heavy.
When I see them listed, I just feel like they're up forever.
The reason I checked is because all the other guitars I have listed right now are sub 200.
Right, right.
I was like, did someone offer me a DeVille for for that Gear for Music baritone?
And maybe the guild will be I I feel like that shouldn't be too hard to move because you're eventually some Soundgarden fan's going to find that out.
Yeah. When someone who wants it sees it, they're going to be like, yeah, there it is. I'm going to get that. But I'm going to have to wait for the right buyer to see it. Like I said, either last episode or this episode earlier, I'm going to make a big move to move a bunch of stuff. Yesterday, I listed 5 of my guitars on local Craigslist and OfferUp. And it's just like, I just got to get stuff gone. And the weirdest thing about it is there's some good stuff in the mix.
Yeah.
I'm getting so many hits on that Gear for Music bass 6 baritone thing. Like that's the hot property right now.
Right.
People want these like extended scale, super heavy, like doomy things. Like that's interesting. Like whatever sells, you know,
Sure.
I'm just trying to make room over here. A lot of times I hook people up locally. If I get the sense like, oh, you know, like they're you know, trying to get something here for for a deal. It's like I'm not trying to like make a buck here.
Right.
I'm trying to make space.
Trying to make $200.
I want that $200. It does feel kind of nice when you sell something and you got the cash in your pocket and you're like, oh, I can go get myself some fast food, and that's not my money. That's imaginary guitar money, you know?
Yeah.
So anyways, what do you guys think? What would you do? You've probably already told us in the comment section.
Yeah.
You got 3 different price points. You can define the price points if you want it, whether you want it to be 500, 1,000, 2,000, or if you want it to be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, or if you want it to be $50, $100, $150. I don't know. You tell me the scenario that makes the most sense for you, and what would you do? What guitars would you get?
50, 100, and 150.
I know.
What would
What
that
can you
be?
even do?
You're gonna get a glary guitar,
Right.
You're gonna get that stage. You're gonna get one of those little Joyo 2-speaker jobbers that's like $40 for your amp.
Or you get the headphone plug.
Yeah.
But then you need to get headphones too. If you already have the headphones, then you get the headphone plug.
Got to get that headphone budget way up.
Yeah, and I know that there's people going to be like, oh, these guys are big money over here, like gatekeeping guitar, saying that we need $3,500. Obviously, you don't. Obviously, there's a used market. This is all hypothetical, and we are deeply on the side of people who want to do things as budget as possible. Like if you don't have the budget to drop $3,500 on gear, welcome to the club. Yeah. You know, the only reason I have all this stuff is because this is my job.
And I think there's again, you know, whether people have this much stuff where it's not their job because they've just been doing it for years.
Right. It's just about accumulation of objects.
Yeah, it's just chasing, like I said, chasing
bliss. Is this a sponsor?
No, it's actually not. It's chasing like whatever you want to achieve with the music. So like you said, like, oh, you're in a pop punk band, so maybe you only need 4 effects and you can do that for like $500 or whatever.
Right.
Or maybe, you know, because you're in a pop punk band, you want $1,000 pedal board because you want that like phaser or whatever, but you know you can get away with, like, you know, you can just buy like a Squier CV, and because you're just going to put a humbucker in the bridge and call it a day.
If you're in a pop punk band, you're going for the amp. You're going for like some sort of Mesa Boogie, Marshall-y sort of half stack situation. That's going to be your big ticket item.
Or and then Super Crush.
And then you're getting a whatever Tom DeLonge thing is being sold at the moment as your guitar, and then Pedalboard. I hope you have a tuner. Please just have a tuner on there. But then you probably have 3 different flavors of distortion.
Sure.
You know, we could have done it by genre and it would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah. If you want to do it, you know,
tell us your genre in the comment section.
Yeah. And how that affect your choices.
Exactly.
And of course, if your choice is Chase Bliss pedals, you're going to need that extra space, because they're, you know, you got to pay when you want a pedal more creative than you are. But for, you know, for the price, they're great. They do so many things. They're just like infinite options.
For the price, they're legendary.
Yeah.
Like that's the reality.
So go check them out, chasebliss.com. If you buy a pedal, put in the special request or whatever, just that we sent you. Yeah. But really just get on the mailing list. Last episode, we opened a Chase Bliss mystery box. Someday Ryan will get to open his whenever it shows up.
It'll happen this year. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. But if that's like a thing, you're like, oh, like I don't really know which Chase Bliss I want, but I'd like to try one of them. Like those are the kinds of opportunities that you're only going to find out about if you get on the mailing list, or if you're on a bunch of forums and you check them all the time.
Follow them on social media.
But yeah, follow them on socials. Tell them we sent you.
Yeah.
Say hi, Chase Bliss. 60 Cycle Hum sent me. Ryan, this next ad was sent by Justin Jolkowski. It's called Multi Effect.
Here we go.
This is a vintage Ibanez Effects UE300 guitar pedal. Turns on during time of bidding. No further testing. So all pedals except compressor sometimes has trouble lighting. That's scary. This is ended at $301. Is this eBay?
Goodwill.
Goodwill. Is that a UE300?
Here's my question.
Yes, Ryan.
It is multiple effects.
Yes.
Do we, in this modern era, do we still consider this to be a multi-effect? Because this is technically, like, if this is a multi-effect, then every double-sided pedal is also a multi-effect. This is just a three-sided pedal. Like, this is like JHS, Josh Scott, when he was in his garage days, could have put together this 3-button, pedal. Would that have been a multi-effect? If he had put together a chorus, a tube screamer, and a compressor into one pedal?
I am picking up what you're putting down. I think for the time, this would be a multi-effects.
Yes, for the time, this is a multi-effect because it was multiple effects.
I'm getting confused because I'm looking at the little diagram of how the effect order is run, and it's very interesting.
It feels backwards to the design of the pedal, doesn't it? Because it's like,
yeah,
the way it's laid out, you have a master power switch, so that is like everything is in a loop. So you're turning the loop on and off with that, and then the next effect going from right to left is the chorus. Why is the chorus next? And then the tube screamer, and then the compressor. It's all backwards,
right?
But it is actually backwards because it shows you the signal path, and the compressor is first in the chain, and then the tube screamer, which makes sense, and then the chorus, which also makes a lot of sense.
And the tube screamer, I think if you want to run the tube screamer, you have to possibly patch a cable from the send to the receive.
Possibly.
I mean, maybe it does it automatically unless you have a cable in there.
Yeah, I think if you put stuff in there, then.
But you have the option to put other effects between the tube screamer and the chorus, which is pretty cool. And the stereo chorus has 2 outputs. So yeah, this is literally just a pedal board,
right,
in a single case.
It is 3 pedals in a case.
Is that a multi-effect?
And it's actually bigger than those 3 individual pedals.
Sure.
And not just because it has the master switch on the side, like it's
longer.
It's longer and it's bigger in every direction than just having those 3 pedals.
It's longer because I wonder if it's thinner.
I don't think so. Look at that. That's not thinner than a pedal.
I've only been looking at one picture.
It is bigger in every direction than 3 pedals.
Yeah. And it's got a fuse on the thing, so it's taking a lot of power to run this thing. It's got its own
dedicated power cord coming out of this thing. The highest bid was $300 or $301.
I mean, if this is what you want, right? I don't know if they say what year this is from, but you're basically getting like a vintage.
Yeah.
Like this is all 8 series.
No one else at the gig is going to have this pedal board.
9 series. These are all 9 series pedals. The stereo chorus, I had one of those stereo choruses. They sound fantastic.
Yeah, I bet.
How
could it sound bad?
Basically every setting on that thing sounds good. Compressor limiter, the CL9. I don't really know much about that. And then of course the tube screamer classic TS9, probably.
I think if I was a tube screamer guy, like I cared about tube screamers, which I don't.
Yeah,
I feel like this would excite me. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, oh man, there's like a fun collector's thing. Yeah, it's big and it's impractical.
Or if you were just into Ibanez,
yeah, totally. Like $300 ain't bad for like a weird thing to have. Yeah, it's big. It's inconvenient. But there is a vibe here to this that I appreciate.
I'm trying to look around and see if you have any pedals that are like 3 effects.
Oh man, if I do
in one box.
they're probably. I've got the white whale, which is big, but it has a spring reverb inside of it.
But it's only how many? It's only one effect.
It's a reverb and a tremolo.
Oh, okay, 2 effects.
Yeah,
we don't think of 2 as multi. I'm just trying to like. Do you remember the old Boss? Well, they still make them, like the Boss ME 30.
Yeah.
Like those were kind of all little discrete circuits, but there was a bunch of them.
I just kind of feel like analog circuits aren't multi-effects.
Right.
The modern line is like, is it digital? Does it do multiple effects? That's a multi-effect. Like like the Zoom MS 50 or whatever. That's a multi-effect.
Sure.
It's a standalone single pedal, but that's a multi-effect. Like there's all sorts of multi-effects out there. They're like Swiss Army knives. Like this isn't a Swiss Army knife. It is just 3 knives in one case.
That is an analogy. I mean, I get it. I'm just like these are all.
Those are multi-effects.
That's a multi-effect.
Yeah.
That's actually
the people don't see what you're seeing.
No, I know.
But then that thing, I know what you're talking about with that.
Like this is all pretty. Like you have multiple. So I'm looking at a Boss ME50. You've got multiple distortions, but you can only tie that to like 1 foot switch.
But
multiple modulations, 1 foot switch, multiple delay types.
It is a selection of multiple effects on each kind of. Let's call it. It's not a bank, but you know what I mean. Each position, because you have distortion, modulation, time-based,
and you
effect,
have your choices there.
But then you have a scroll knob that's like, which model of which distortion do you want? Which model of which reverb do you want?
So I think maybe that's actually the multi-effect isn't that it's a single,
right?
That it's multiple types of effect.
If this had a 3-way switch that let you select in between 3 different types of overdrive or like distortion, overdrive, fuzz, then I'd be like, that's a multi-effect.
So in a sense, I don't think you have one out here right now within quick reach, but in a sense, like all of these, like all of the recent, not the Mako series, but even like the general, like the Ages, Walrus Audio Ages, or the Walrus Audio Eras are. Let me finish, because I feel like you're gearing up to rebuttal. What I'm going to say is those are more of a multi-effect than what this is.
They are
multiple of a single effect.
They're multiple. Like I'm a big fan of the Eons, which is the fuzz. I think that's the fuzz. Or is that the Ages?
I can't remember either.
It's the fuzz one. I'm a big fan of the fuzz one. But that's not really a multi-effect in that it gives you a wide range to dial in the sound because it has different clipping options for the same circuit.
Are they not? Is it not? Is it a dial or is it
it's got a rotary knob that goes from, silicon, germanium, et cetera, et cetera. There's like 5 different clipping options on it. And then there is a knob that is a voltage controller, and that's really the magic, is the relationship between those two things. And it's got an expanded EQ range. Like it's just a really versatile pedal, but it's a single circuit. It's not a multi-effect. It's not an overdrive and a fuzz and a distortion.
Right.
It's a wide variety of flavors of fuzz.
But what I'm saying is having that selection there. Right.
I'd say that the JHS like bonsai stuff is more multi-effect than that is.
That's fair. But okay, let's say you took the JHS bond. The problem is there's no JHS equivalent for other types of effect. So
they have the big muff one and they have the rat one.
Right, but they're all drives.
Right.
So but what I'm going to say is like if Walrus Audio made this Ibanez thing and they put the Ages and they put the ARP 87 and they put the slow in it, is that a multi-effect? Because now it's 3 individual effects, but each one of those effects has multiple types of effect that are like multiple options tied to it.
This is us at our most pedantic. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. What I was saying last episode, where it's like I picked stuff based on whether or not we would argue about it in the old days over AIM. Like this is it. Like this is pure like 60 cycle hum right now.
What is a multi-effect?
What is the definition of a multi-effect?
How multiple does your effect have to be for it to be That's the thing that I thought was funny about the Boss ME50. I didn't realize it was called the Boss Multiple Effects.
Right. It's literally a like multi-effect.
It's not 50. Even multi. No, it's not even multi. It's multiple effects.
Multiple effects.
And I feel like that gives it like a greater tangibility than like, oh yeah, this is a multi-effect. No, this isn't a multi-effects. This is a multiple effects. Like there's more meat on that bone.
Well, this says multi-effects on it. It's the UE300 multi-effects. So
yeah.
According to the naming, it is a multi-effects. I'm just saying that in
this
modern,
is an ad.
In modern terminology, I don't think this is a multi-effect.
This is an ad. We've gone on forever on an ad.
I know. Oh, let's get to the next one. And this time is reading.
No, I know this time is wrong.
We had to restart the camera.
We had a camera error. I don't even know how to make this segue. If you think this is cool, and if you think this Ibanez multi-effect is cool, and you think this show is cool, you owe it to yourself to at least go and become a free subscriber over on our Patreon.
You know what? YouTube notifications suck.
Yeah.
They only work like a percentage of the time. If you want to get notifications when we publish videos on this channel, a surefire thing that you can do is either follow the Facebook group, because I post all of the videos there and I tag them to the top, or go sign up on the Patreon for free. You don't have to pay. You can sign up for free and you'll get email notifications when we launch a video.
I'm gonna do something weird for the Patreon.
How weird are we talking?
At some point later this year.
All right.
I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, Steve's gonna
publish. We got a long time for that, but you know.
Very suggestive photos of himself is what's gonna happen. All right. This last one. Do we have another sponsor? Or are we all set?
That's it. Let's do a what's new.
Okay,
what's time for what's new?
Oh, you got a story.
I got a story.
Tell the story, Steve.
I feel like we've been talking about this so much that now it's going to be disappointed. So,
I've got nothing to go off of here. Just tell me the story.
So I sold a piece of musical recording equipment on Marketplace. That was ours. We got a Mackie DLZ in 2023.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And it worked really well until it didn't. And we had some issues that we couldn't resolve. And the Roadcaster itself is probably way more power than we need. The
for sure.
The DLZ, I think if we really got into it, was even more power than possibly than the.
It was definitely a lot bigger.
At least this Roadcaster, like the Roadcaster 1.
You don't need to get the whole backstory.
No, I'm just saying. So we had this. So it developed a buzz that would go away after like 10 minutes. Like it's like the noise gate didn't turn on when you booted it. It had to warm up first.
It would go away?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
if I turned it on and just let it sit on the floor for like 10 minutes, I'd have my headphones plugged into it and it would just go. I'd be sitting there doing work on my computer and I hear the headphones on the floor going bzzz, and I just like zone out and keep working. And then all of a sudden I realized I don't hear any noise.
That's such a weird.
I looked down and it went away.
That's such a weird ghost in the circuit situation.
Yeah. My guess is that there was probably something in between the like probably the LCD screen or something and the output of power that was supposed to be like filtering that noise out that for some reason like didn't work until it warmed up.
Just some capacitor needed to get charged all the way.
Because the other thing that would happen is if I turned the unit off and then immediately turned it back on, it would be fine. Like it'd go 10 minutes, turn it off, turn it back on. It would be fine right away. But if I let it sit for like 20 minutes and then turn it back on, point being, I had this listed on Facebook Marketplace. I had it listed for like less than you even find them, like much less than you have in Reverb, to be sold basically as is. Here's the problem. It eventually goes away. Please understand the risk. I was getting people, this is very frustrating. I was getting people who asked, why are you selling it so cheap? I don't know. Read the description. That's why. Like how bad is the noise? Oh, it's bad for about 10 minutes. It's unusable for 10 minutes. And I had some people say like, well, maybe I'll take the risk. But one dude was in Anaheim. So anyway, I sold it today.
Congratulations, Steve, you did it.
And the guy the messages were kind of like sparse, just real short sentences. And so this morning we started messaging yesterday, and this morning I get up and he's like, can we meet today because I told him I'd be in San Diego. I said, yeah.
Did you tell him what you had for lunch yet?
No.
Okay.
And then he's like, how about 1? And I was like, well, if you can meet me at like 10:15, I'll meet you at the park and ride that's on my way into town. And he's like, well, that doesn't work. How about in the afternoon? So I said, okay, well, here's a new location, which is the park and ride on the other side of town. And he's like, okay, cool. I'll meet you there. So I go there. I tell him I'm going to be late because I took too long eating lunch. I got yakisoba from this deli. It's like, it's not.
Now he's talking about the lunch.
It's not good yakisoba, but it's great yaki. Like,
I said the lunch bit to get you to speed up the story. Now you're doing it.
Do you know what I mean? You know how sometimes there's food where you're like, this is a really bad version of this food, but I love it.
Yeah. That's
what this is.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go there. I'm at the park and ride, and then he sends me a message, and he's like, hey, where are you? And I'm like, I'm at the park and ride. Where are you? What I didn't realize is on Google Maps, when you put in the park and ride that I went to, it's not a single address. It gives you the address for the entire city block.
Oh,
which is actually like 3 city blocks.
Oh my gosh.
Basically like the length of the area from Vista Serrano Parkway, that park and ride, all the way up to Lusk. That's the address for that park and ride.
Really?
So I sent him the address, and he went to the FBI building. So I'm thinking like, well, there's a parking lot in front of it, whatever, like no big deal.
He went to the FBI
He went to the FBI
building?
parking lot.
I know that building.
Yeah. And
it's up the street from a dispensary.
That's true. That's true. So I say like, and he's like, can you share your
Who sees an FBI building that's clearly marked as an FBI building and goes, I'll park there?
Yeah, I don't know. And it wasn't like, and so I message him, or he messages me, and he goes, hey, can you share your location? So I share my location. He shares his. I see where it is. I know the area. I know he's at the FBI building, but I'm like, okay, I told him like, I'll just come to you. It'll be easier because I don't want him to wander around. And apparently I should have told him to come to me. I drive over there. He does not come in like over to where I'm at when I'm there. He's like walking over to the security office. I do not know why. And then he comes over. I've got my trunk popped. He real quick, here's the money, $260. I open the thing. I go, here's the thing. Power supply's in there. Close it. No other conversation. Hands it. Drives off. As he's driving away, 2 security guards come out, flag him down, and are like having some conversation with them. I don't know. And as I'm driving out, they flag me down, and they're like, what was your business here? I was like, I'm just doing Facebook Marketplace. And he goes, don't you? And I don't know if this is true. Y'all tell me, is this true? He says to me, and this guy's not FBI, it's like contract security.
Right.
But he says to me, don't you know it's illegal to sell things on federal property? And I go, I don't know, man. Like, I told him to meet me down the street. He was here. I just came here. We're done. I'm leaving. And he's like, yeah, you need to leave. If you're not off the property in 5 seconds, I'm going to call the cops. And I'm just like, I didn't want to like make a whole thing about it, but I'm like, dude, I'm already halfway out the parking lot.
I'm clearly leaving, but also like that guy's thinking like, we can't let the FBI parking lot become the pickup and drop off for Craigslist.
Also, today is Friday, December 27th. Right. Just a look behind the curtain. There was nobody working at the FBI today. I'm pretty sure they're like probably closed for Christmas.
The FBI is a strong supporter of Christmas.
Yeah. But yeah, it was this whole weird thing. And they were like, well, we told him not to do the transaction here. I'm like, well, I just said like, he didn't say anything to me. I don't know this guy. I'm just making a sale.
Right.
Excuse me. And they just seemed really like,
no, they got to be as stern as possible.
It was, I think the thing to me that was so weird about it is they were treating it as if like I was selling drugs on FBI property.
It was clearly a podcasting rig.
But he's like, you have 5 seconds to leave. As I'm already like, I would already be gone if you didn't stop me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, also, I cannot physically leave in 5 seconds unless I peel out. And I'm not going to peel out in front of the freaking FBI building.
So, way before my wife and I were dating, she was having a long conversation with a friend in a car in a church parking lot.
Yeah.
And that church happened to be across the parking lot from like an aerospace company or something like that, a company with high security clearance.
Yeah.
So you know how it is, like you end up having conversations for a long time after like wherever you are shuts down. So they're in the parking lot late at night, and whoever's working security at this aerospace situation, whatever it happened to be, ended up calling the cops on them.
Oh my God!
Oh, there's this car out there and there's people sitting in it and they've been out there for a long time and we think they're casing the joint sort of situation. So she has this story of like the cops rolling up, like 3 cop cars at the same time rolling up on their car and lights and everything and the whole deal.
The thing that was so wild to me about it is like the threat of calling the cops. Like if he was just like, hey, look, like in the future, like you have to do it at the park and ride. Like you can't do it here. Like that's one thing. But to do the whole thing of like, if you're not off this property in 5 seconds, I'm going to call the cops. I'm like, if I'm here in 10 seconds, are you going to call the cops? And then can I leave? And so the cops show up and they're just like, why did you call us?
Yeah, where is he?
Like, what are the cops going to drive over to my work and be like, are you going to pull the footage because I'm sure my plates are on cameras or whatever? Like, what exactly?
Well, now you know where to send people when they lowball you on Craigslist.
I know.
Like, oh, meet me here. Go ask the security guard. I'm inside.
Yeah. Like, it's just so, like, it just seemed like such an overreact.
Of course.
And
a security guard overreacting?
No, I know. And it was one of those things where he's like, well, I told the other guy to tell you. And I'm like, well, I just pulled up. The guy came from your office over to me, handed me cash. I didn't walk through this whole thing because I only had 5 seconds.
The other guy should have been
doing this on the podcast because I've got all the time I want, baby.
I got to edit this. The guy should have told you right away, like, hey, they want us to move somewhere else.
Yeah.
The fact that he completed the transaction is 100% on him.
Yeah. And I don't like, I'm in the dark, or the fact that the security like didn't immediately follow him over to be like,
right. Hey, you gotta take this somewhere else.
Like they just relied on some random stranger.
But also, who pulls into a clearly marked FBI parking lot? Like you can see from it says FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation.
No, I know.
It's not even the female body inspector's one. It's the real one. Wow.
Yeah, I like if he would have. I mean, for what it's worth, if he had messaged me back and been like,
"What is it worth?"
Yeah, if he would have messaged me back and been like, "I'm in front of the FBI," I still probably would have just been like, "Yeah, I'll be there." Like I know where you are, because it's like easier for me to just. That's how my brain works. Is like if it's just easier for me to be like, "I'll just go pick you up," or like, "I'll just go meet you where you are."
There's some people who like to do their transactions in police station parking lots. Yeah. The FBI is a whole other level. Like, where do you go from there? The CIA?
Is there a CIA office in San Diego?
Are there CIA offices that you can find? I feel like they hide those. Like, are people doing Craigslist like deals in the Pentagon parking lot? Like, come on, people.
I just, like I said, like I just don't. The whole thing to me was just so ridiculous, and I was just like, man, like. And again, the memory of you have 5 seconds or I'm calling the cops. And I'm like, we're all grown ass adults here.
I wouldn't do a Craigslist exchange at the FBI if the person I was doing an exchange with, the person I was doing a deal with, told me that they were the head director of that location.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's where I work. Come by my work.
Come by my work.
No, thank you. Let's meet at the Starbucks.
Right.
No. You got to do your Craigslist deals at the IRS.
Yeah, that way you can sell the item and immediately report.
Hey guys, just sold this for $600. So where's the paperwork?
Yeah. Like I said, I just don't like it.
Also,
was just
Steve, that story
so
could have been
bizarre.
so much shorter.
I know.
You didn't need to tell us about your lunch or even what you were selling.
You're the one who brought up my lunch.
That was a joke. Okay. All right. This last ad is from Michael Love It or Leave It. I've always got to say
this
that.
This is a BC Rich bronze guitar. It's $550. Custom painted with popcorn Sutton. Has new active pickups and new strings. $550. Okay. Let's go back over here. Popcorn Sutton is an American author. Did he write anything that I know?
He's a moonshiner.
Says he's an author.
I know, but what does he write about?
Oh, sorry.
Steve?
Was an American Appalachian moonshiner and bootlegger. Why did I see?
I'm sure he also wrote a book about it.
Why did I think he was an author?
I don't know, man.
It says up here, American author.
I just think this is fun. When you think of like moonshine, like out in the woods distillery culture, old timers gathering around a still, like, carrying bags of sugar up a hill in the dead of night.
Sure.
You think of a BC Rich, don't you?
Yeah, that is 100% what I think of.
That's the theming you think of. Like, this is so wild to me. Like, I understand the attraction to, I get the sense that this guy's a bit of a folk hero.
Yeah. Oh, he did write a self-published autobiographical guide to moonshining.
Yeah. But connecting...
And a home video.
Of course. Connecting this tribute to him in this art style to a BC Rich is so strange to me.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Like, did he play a BC Rich? Like, is there a connection that I don't understand? And the way he's looking at you from the guitar feels like he's judging you. He's judging his own situation. Like, why am I on a BC Rich? Everyone knows that I prefer Schecter.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What if you were getting a moonshiner and this is so clean? There are certain elements of this that perhaps like do kind of fit though. Apparently he died in a Ford Fairmont.
Okay.
Which I feel like is possibly like I guess it's a 80s car. I was thinking of the Ford Fairlane, the older car, which is like more of a big wing sort of.
No, Fairmont's like a 80s era station wagony sort of thing in my mind.
This one is some kind of just sedan, but
maybe,
but maybe they did make a station wagon version,
right?
Whereas the Fairlane is like more of a classic 60s car. So that's what I was thinking. So I was thinking BC Rich, it's got some pinstriping on this one. It's got that red line going around. It's kind of pinstripey ish.
If you're gonna do an electric guitar with a moonshiner, I feel like you gotta go with something that's got like a country picking twang to it. You're either doing a Telecaster or you're doing like a Cootercaster, or you're like, I don't know, even like a LP Junior or something like that makes more sense than this.
Oh, LP Junior would be great.
Right. Because then you can work in kind of like the barrel elements and stuff like that. I don't know, like anything could be, literally anything could be better than BC Rich for this with covered active humbuckers.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it doesn't have a Floyd Rose.
But this guy was definitely some kind of folk hero.
Yeah, totally. He's totally like, it didn't take me any effort at all to look up the screen grab that I got there, the Wikipedia or whatever.
He was given the name Popcorn after attacking a popcorn machine in a bar with a pool cue.
That's a great way to get a nickname. I wish I could earn a nickname like that.
This whole story is pretty crazy. It's pretty interesting.
Well, I wonder if he knew about this guitar before he passed, and that's why he looks that way on the guitar. Like, really?
Yeah.
I'm posing for this painting that's going on that guitar.
Okay, here we go. I think we can wrap this up with this. We'll do a little Wikipedia.
Sure.
I'm gonna read this whole thing. You react.
Okay, I'll react.
You feel. Sutton died by suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning on March 16, 2009, apparently to avoid a federal prison term due to begin a few days later. His wife, Pam, who he had married 2 years before his death, returned home running errands and discovered her husband in his green Ford Fairmont, that's
how he died in the Fairmont. Okay.
She called this car, or she said that he called this car his 3-jar car because he traded 3 jugs of moonshine for it.
All right.
His daughter said that he had told her that he would kill himself rather than go to jail. adding that he had the strength to die the way he lived according to his own wishes and no one else's. Sutton's, so he had his memorial service in...
I don't know what kind of reaction you wanted from me on this.
So this is
pretty dark.
This is where it's going. There's a couple things in here that are really, I think, interesting. Sutton's memorial grew in spectacle as country music singer Hank Williams Jr. flew to his memorial to pay his respects. Small memorials also held for friends and family. The conventional grave marker used at the head of Sutton's grave read Marvin Popcorn Sutton. He also had prepared a footstone in advance that he kept for years on his front porch and had kept his casket ready in his living room.
Wow.
The epitaph on his footstone reads, "Popcorn said, fuck you."
I see why people like this guy.
Ryan.
Yeah.
My choice for Adventurers Club this week is Moonshine Rich. Michael Lovett.
All right. Let me take a moment to think about this.
As much as I thought it was going to be
the barn
multi-effect. I thought it was going to be multi-effect.
Man, there's some good ones. There's some good ones. I'm going to spin you for the barn amp.
Barn amp was good too. Barn amp was very good. But I feel like that little history lesson on Moonshine put me over the top.
We'll start it on that spin right there. You do the honor, Steve. No, that's not how you spin it.
All right.
Spin again. All right, it's my spin now.
All right.
Here we go. I thought I had it. No! Congratulations, Michael Krause. You got it.
Oh, there's no. Oh, it's the peg's not right there, but that doesn't matter.
Right. It's within the peg.
Barely.
Oh, come on.
That feels
That's
like
a clean win.
That peg would have, if there was a peg there, it would have stopped it, right? It would have stopped it from going through. All right, who is that? Michael Krause?
Yeah.
Barn amp. I'm just making notes. Barn amp. Woo. All right. This song was sent by...
That barn amp would have been a good one for popcorn there.
I know. This was sent... Maybe it was his. Who
Maybe.
knows? Maybe that's why... Maybe he was a BC Rich player.
Do you think he was running a BC Rich into an Excelsior?
Yeah.
All right.
This is from Andres. He says, "Hey guys, I've attached one of my first attempts at recording last year in hopes it gets played at the end of the podcast episode one day. It's called Heavy... excuse me. It's called Heavy Horse.
You're a little horse.
They say when you pass through a black hole, you get fast forwarded to the singularity at the end of time. This is what I assume that sounds like with a jazz master and a classical guitar. This song is called Heavy Horse."
Do they say that? there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
It feels like there's like 4 or 5 larger pieces hiding in that waiting to happen.
Right.
If you get what I'm saying. Like there's some strong ideas in there, and it feels like they're a little bit cramped on top of each other.
I think that's the idea, though.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the idea. I could see this because we talked about like the whole black hole thing, and I think if there was like, if like Firefly was a harder sci-fi, I could feel like this. Like, I'm thinking like if Tarantino made Firefly, and there was also like some kind of psychedelic black hole thing happening, that's where this song would go.
All right. I like it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Stay grounded.